New York, 1900. An era that would be dubbed the Gilded Age. A time of unrestrained luxury, where America's wealthiest families, the Vanderbilts and the Astors, competed in the opulence of their Fifth Avenue palaces. But amid all this glitz, a strange figure appears every morning. An elderly woman, always dressed in the same black dress that has turned gray with time. She doesn't use a carriage. She walks, clutching an old canvas bag to her chest that seems to hold nothing but groceries from the market. An ordinary passerby would take her for a local eccentric or a beggar. But when she enters the bank building, the doormen snap to attention, and the directors of the largest financial institutions turn pale. For in that worn-out bag, there are no vegetables. Inside lie railroad mortgages, shares in steel giants, and government bonds worth tens of millions of dollars. Her name is Hetty Green, newsmen, trembling with both excitement and fear, dubbed her the Witch of Wall Street. Legends about her abound. They say she never turns on the heat, eats only oatmeal warmed on a radiator, and doesn't change her undergarments for years to save on laundry costs. But while the world laughs at her stinginess, Hetty laughs at the world. In an era when women did not even have the right to vote, she became the most powerful private lender in America. Concentrated in her hands was a capital of $100 million, which, in today's terms, is a staggering $17 billion. Who was she really? A brilliant investor who saw right through the market, or a deeply unhappy woman whose soul was consumed by a thirst for accumulation? How did the daughter of a whaling tycoon transform into the wealthiest ghost in history? Today, we begin our deep dive into the life of Hetty Green, a life where every cent was more important than human life, and the only true passion was the numbers in a ledger. Welcome to the world of the Witch of Wall Street. Hetty Robinson was born in 1834 in New Bedford, Massachusetts. At that time, the city was the whaling capital of the world. Here, the smell of whale oil and salt water mingled with the scent of immense wealth. Hetty's family was one of the wealthiest in town. They owned a vast whaling fleet and conducted trade across the globe. Yet, there was no room for luxury in their home. The Robinsons were Quakers, members of a strict religious community that preached absolute humility, hard work, and asceticism. Hetty's childhood was spent not in play with her peers, but in her father's office. Her mother was in poor health, so the girl's upbringing fell to her father and grandfather, stern businessmen who saw people only as assets or liabilities. Hetty learned to read early, but the first books she truly studied were not fairy tales, but ledgers and financial reports. By the age of 6, she was already sitting on her father's lap, reading him stock market news and share prices from the newspapers. Save every cent, Hetty. Spend less than you earn, and money will serve you your whole life, her father would repeat. At 13, Hetty Robinson officially became the family accountant. She knew the exact value of every barrel of whale oil, every share of stock, and every cent spent on maintaining the fleet. In her world, there was no room for emotions, affections, or childhood whims. There were only numbers, and they were either rising or falling. There, in that cold office on the ocean shore, amidst the smell of fish and old paper, was born the pathological obsession with frugality that would one day horrify the entire world. Hetty Green didn't just learn to value money. She learned to worship it, seeing in it the only true protection in a cruel and unpredictable world. When Hetty turned 20, her father decided it was time for her social debut. He gave her a fantastic sum for those days, $1,200, roughly $40,000 today, to purchase a wardrobe for the winter season in New York. He expected to see his daughter in silks, laces, and Parisian hats. But Hetty had other plans. She bought a few of the cheapest, most practical dresses, and the rest of the money she invested in the stocks of promising banks. Why do I need outfits that will go out of style in a month, when I can buy a stake in a business that will sustain me for a lifetime, she reasoned. In the high society salons of New York, She was labeled strange. While other debutantes gossiped about suitors and the latest scandals, Hetty sought out influential businessmen in the room. She wasn't flirting with them. She was interrogating them about railroad yields, Chicago real estate prices, and the outlook for cotton exports. She saw right through the hollow glitz of the Gilded Age. Hetty noticed how quickly families living for show went bankrupt. She saw the tears of women left with nothing after the deaths of their spendthrift husbands. It was then that she learned her primary life lesson. Emotions are a liability, while capital is the only real power. Hetty realized that in the male-dominated world of Wall Street, she would never be treated as an equal if she played by the rules of a lady. To survive and win, she had to become tougher than any man. She began studying legal technicalities, inheritance laws, and tax schemes. She wasn't preparing for marriage. She was preparing for a war over inheritance and market dominance. She eventually lost the ability to feel sympathy altogether. Even when her father fell seriously ill, Hetty never stopped discussing business while caring for him. To her, the death of loved ones was, first and foremost, a legal fact regarding the transfer of property rights. She was ready. She was armed with knowledge, and she was biding her time. In 1865, Sylvia and Howland, Hetty's wealthy aunt, passed away. At stake was a colossal inheritance of $2 million, more than $40 million today. Hetty, who had spent years caring for her aunt, was certain that everything would be left to her. But when the will was opened, Hetty froze with rage. Aunt Sylvia, exhausted by her niece's pathological greed, had ordered otherwise. The bulk of the money was to go to charity and other relatives. Hetty was left with only crumbs, the interest from a capital sum she was forbidden to touch. What happened next shocked all of America. Hetty didn't just contest the will. She presented a secret document in court, allegedly signed by her aunt earlier. It stated that Sylvia invalidated all subsequent wills in Hetty's favor. Thus began Robinson versus Howland, one of the most high-profile legal scandals of the century. Her relatives accused Hetty of forging the signature. The leading handwriting experts of the time were brought in. Hetty fought like a cornered lioness. She personally cross-examined witnesses, searched for legal loopholes, and spent thousands of dollars on lawyers to get her hands on those millions. The trial lasted 5 years. Hetty displayed incredible ruthlessness. She publicly humiliated her relatives, accusing them of conspiracy and madness. It was then that the world saw her true face. She didn't care about her aunt's memory, nor did she care about family ties. Ultimately, the court declared the secret document invalid due to suspicions of forgery. Hetty lost the battle for the principal sum, but managed to win a significant portion of the assets through litigation. She walked out of the courtroom millions of dollars richer, but she had forever lost her reputation as a proper lady. Now, she was known as a woman who would walk over dead bodies for a single cent. She was ready for her next step, the takeover of Wall Street. 1865. The American Civil War had just ended. The country lay in ruins, and the economy resembled a house of cards. Trust in the government was at zero. Panic reigned on Wall Street. Investors were dumping paper money, known as greenbacks, en masse and buying up gold, fearing that the government would never repay its debts. But at that moment, Hetty appeared on the trading floors. While everyone else was rushing toward gold, she was doing something unthinkable. She was buying up U.S. government bonds, which were worth mere pennies. They laughed at her. They called her insane. Brokers whispered that the wealthy heiress had lost her mind, throwing her money to the wind. But Hetty had a mathematical calculation. She believed in the potential of a unified country more than those who govern it. She knew America would recover, and then these candy wrappers would turn into pure gold. And she was right. A short time later, the government confirmed the payments, and the value of the bonds skyrocketed. In a single year, Hetty earned her first independent $1 million on pure calculation and nerves of steel. It was during this period that the nickname the Witch of Wall Street truly stuck. Male traders couldn't believe a woman was capable of such profound analysis. It was easier for them to believe in black magic or devilish intuition than in her intellect. Hetty realized that on the stock exchange, the winner isn't the one who shouts the loudest, but the one who knows how to wait. She began investing her millions into what would become the foundation of the future United States: railroads and real estate. She became an invisible giant whose hands gripped the throat of the American economy. Her first million was just the beginning of the great hunt.